Jungsub and Sesung had an interview, and I've got to admit that it's one of the best post-show interviews I've read in a while. These two were refreshingly honest, straight to the point, and managed to share their feelings without spilling too much tea. If you missed it, don't worry, I've got you covered. First, I will analyze their Q&A and share my thoughts on the key moments of their interview. Then I will share my opinion on whether they are still together or not. Hi guys, the final episodes of My Siblings Romance were the commentary episodes, and episode 3 ended with Jungsub and Sesung reacting to the show. Did you all watch it too? They looked really cute and they made me laugh so hard. To figure out the status of their relationship, I'll be combining insights from their interview, their commentary episodes, and a few bonus clues. Stick around until the end of this video to hear my conclusions. You might be in for a surprise. And don't forget to watch the whole video to catch the full scope before dropping your comments. Thanks. Alright, let's jump into their Q&A from the article. I'll include translations for the first part of it at the end of this video. Here is their Q&A. Question 1. How do you feel about the ending of the final episode?
I felt relieved. It was like watching a video diary. Even though it was a few months ago, I could follow the emotions of the moments when I was just being myself. I'm grateful and happy that a piece of my youth was beautifully recorded. The biggest gain seems to be that our family came to love each other more.
Every time an episode was released, I looked forward to seeing how I would appear, while also feeling a bit anxious. Watching the final episode felt refreshing but also left me with a sense of longing, wondering why it ended so soon. Nonetheless, I felt proud and happy.
Dating in a space shared with siblings couldn't have been easy. Were there moments when you received help, and conversely, moments when it wasn't helpful?
I've never been bothered by showing my dating life to my brother. So, during filming, I would naturally ask for his opinion, and he always gave thoughtful advice. However, it was tough to show raw dating scenes on the broadcast. Watching it with the family, I found myself hitting an innocent pillow.
I think having my sister around was incredibly helpful. There wasn't a single moment when her presence wasn't beneficial. I was fortunate and grateful to have a sister who understood and helped clarify my thoughts.
On the day of the final decision, you were probably surprised to see Cholhyun walking towards you from the opposite side. What were your feelings when you first saw him?
The moment I saw Cholhyun Oppa, I understood the meaning behind his choice. He cherished the time we spent together and supported my future, which warmed my heart. I felt truly grateful, happy, and touched.
My first thought was, why? And my second thought was, that makes sense. I thought he had come to say goodbye. Later, Sesung explained the situation to me, and I understood Cholhyun as she explained.
You received a lot of advice from each other's siblings and even had a 4-person face-to-face meeting. How did you feel at that time? How do you think things would have turned out without your siblings?
During the 4-person meeting, Yoonha Ani sided with me, and my brother supported Jungsub. It was both touching and amusing to see the eldest siblings stepping up to help us. Without our siblings, resolving the conflict would have been much more difficult.
During the 4-person face-to-face meeting, my heart felt like it was going to burst in a different way. I was desperately hoping that Sesung would understand my feelings well and was sweating nervously, trying not to say anything wrong. If we didn't have our siblings, I don't even want to imagine it. Without them, I would have tried to resolve things through conversation in a way that wouldn't make Sesung uncomfortable.
You were the couple with the most cute bickering among the final couples. How did it feel watching those scenes on the broadcast? Were there any moments you regretted or that felt new to you?
I didn't expect the scene of us simultaneously extending our date at the Singapore wine bar to come out so funny. Even I thought, what are they doing?
I was glad that we were portrayed nicely. It felt like watching a drama filled with all kinds of emotions: joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness. I don't think bickering is entirely bad. I took my time understanding and expressing my feelings back then, and I believe that even bickering is possible because of affection.
After reading through their answers, one thing is clear: Jungsub and Sesung have a deep appreciation and respect for each other. One of the funniest moments was when Sesung admitted she cringed while watching herself. An innocent pillow suffered deformity due to her cringe punches lol. Jungsub's answers were also incredibly heartfelt. He mentioned how thankful he was for his sister, especially during that intense four-person face-to-face meeting. He described feeling like his heart was going to burst, sweating nervously, and desperately hoping that Sesung would understand his feelings without him saying anything wrong. That kind of raw honesty just hits you right in the feels, doesn't it? This interview happened after the finale aired, which means their mood during this chat is the best indicator of where they're at right now. But before I dive into their current status, let's rewind a bit to the photos shared at the end of the show. These photos of them were taken in December 2023. When I saw these pictures, my first thought was that Sesung and Jungsub were not together because they were never really near each other in the pictures. But then, I watched the finale of the commentary episodes, and boom! So many things clicked into place. There were so many electromagnetic attractions between Jungsub and Sesung. Their chemistry was undeniable. Jungsub seemed to have fallen head over heels in love with her. This could have intensified, likely because he had just watched the earlier episodes confirming her feelings for him. There are so many cues and hints in that commentary video that cannot be ignored. These hints I'm referring to show that Sesung and Jungsub were actually together. But first, why did it seem like they weren't close during their Christmas party photos? It could be anything from avoiding spoilers to Sesung feeling shy in front of her parents. If you've been following my videos, you'll know I am not a shipper of Sesung and Jungsub, although I support whatever makes them happy. I just didn't think they were compatible. I actually ship Sesung with Cholhyun. I've been rooting for them since their first walk together on the show. I'm saying this so that you may understand that I am sharing my honest opinion in this video based on my view and interpretations. And, I want to know your thoughts too. Drop them in the comments after you hear me out. The first episode of the show premiered on March 1, 2024, and their commentary video was shot sometime in March as stated in the edits. They were watching episode 3 together for the first time. When Sesung entered, she kept her distance away from Jungsub. She was quite stiff and rigid, trying to maintain some kind of distance, because production must have told them to be careful not to give too much away. Remember when Yoonjae and Ji-won did their reaction video in the same episode? He kept whispering to Ji-won to stop giving spoilers about him and Yoonha. I feel the same thing happened here in the beginning of Jungsub and Sesung's reaction segment. Sesung was trying to be professional and not give away spoilers, but as they watched, you could see her gradually getting closer to Jungsub, leaning into him, and they became touchy with each other. When she laughed, she rested on him. There were moments when she gazed at him lovingly, but it wasn't as intense as during the show. The fire had dimmed a bit, probably because she may have already explored some of her fantasies with him by then in real life. That is why her gazes weren't as fiery as they were on the show. When Jungsub asked her why she kept staring at him in the house like that on the show, she responded in past tense, saying it was because she liked him. There was also a part where she said, "I think it's because I was so into you, what was wrong with me?" At some point, he also said something like "I really enjoyed it too." All in past tense. In the kitchen scene, she said things like, "How come I was only talking to you? I can't believe I was that obvious," and so on. I believe all these sentences were said in the past tense because they were reacting to the video discussing how they felt during the show, not referring to their present feelings to avoid spoilers. And clearly, Sesung was so embarrassed watching herself, she cringed so hard that Jungsub had to comfort her, saying it was okay and not a big deal. I also believe that actions speak louder than words. That is why most of us felt their attraction to each other on the show. Their body language on the show screamed love while their words were full of bickering and misunderstandings. Same thing in this video, they couldn't keep their distance from each other unconsciously, their chemistry was through the roof. They leaned into each other many times. If they were no longer romantically attracted to each other, this would never have happened. Jungsub especially was very touchy. He had a lot of skin-to-skin contact with her compared to the shy Jungsub we saw on the show. He didn't feel awkward or conscious of him resting his hand on that pillow on her laps or touching her from time to time, and she didn't react uncomfortably to it either. If only one of them had been touchy, I might have chalked it up to friendship type of relationship, but they were both touchy with each other and were both very comfortable doing it. They mirrored each other a lot, and you could even see the edits showing copy on Sesung and paste on Jungsub, because they were both in sync. Jungsub was also very caring. He got up to get tissues for her even when she didn't think she was gonna cry. He looked concerned as he handed her the tissues when Sesung cried because Yongwoo was crying. Now, let's talk about Chulhyun. He came up a couple of times during the commentary. When Chulhyun was exercising in the house, Jungsub reacted by looking at the screen, and then gave her a suspicious stare. Then he asks her what was happening in the pool from the shots he saw in the intro. He was jealous and wanted clarity. Although Sesung was hesitant to answer, she felt compelled to resolve his doubt. She explained that Chulhyun was playing with her, and she was trying to wiggle herself out of his hold, so they laughed it off. Next, they watched the part where his sister was suspicious that Chulhyun liked Sesung. They bickered a bit, which led to the argument about her popularity in the house, but she later won the argument by saying she was popular among the ladies, not the men. After that, Jungsub calmed down a bit and didn't mention Chulhyun again until his job scene came up. They were both shocked when they first saw the scene of Chulhyun's job. They thought it was a commercial, lol, even I thought it was a commercial too, hahaha. Sesung said she couldn't believe they teased such a cool guy all the time. Jungsub also agreed that they really teased him a lot. Their reaction to Chulhyun's attitude when he stopped getting messages from Jooyeon was also quite telling, that she and Chulhyun were just friends at that time. What I'm trying to say is, at the time of filming the commentary, Jungsub and Sesung were still dating, although they weren't seeing each other as often as they wanted. After they finished reacting to the video, he asked her where she was going next and she said, home. He still asked her when she got her clothing from Zara because he saw the Zara buttons on her. She told him she got it that week, and he got territorial, asking her whom she went to the mall with. She said she went with her mom and asked if he thought she went with someone else. With all these questions Jungsub kept asking, to me, is an indicator that they were together, otherwise, he wouldn't have had the right to ask such questions. Then they stared at each other for a while, you can tell they didn't want to leave each other's side. When he asked if she wanted to leave, she said no. She wasn't in a hurry to leave him. Then he tells her she should go home, though his eyes showed he wanted her to stay, then she suggested that they should talk till midnight, which they did. Guys, if this wasn't love, I don't know what is. If she didn't like him anymore, she wouldn't want to be around him, let alone suggest talking till midnight. Plus, she would have cut everything short and left. At the end of the video, Sesung stated they were trying to be careful not to be seen together in public in order to avoid spoilers. They were also sad they had to cut their conversation short for the same reasons. They mentioned they were being careful because, to the viewers, it was just their 4th day on screen. This means as of March 2024, Jungsub and Sesung were in love and still together. Now, back to the interview. When asked about their reaction to Chulhyun choosing Sesung in the end, Sesung said she understood the meaning behind his choice, that he cherished their moments and was rooting for her. She felt grateful, happy, and touched. It's nice that she was grateful, but we all know that gratitude rarely metamorphoses into romantic relationships. Jungsub also said Sesung explained the situation to him, and he understood based on her explanation. Now the big question is, are they still dating till now? I am almost convinced they've broken up. Mostly because there are no hints or love trails from their social media interactions, which is pretty unusual for someone as expressive as Sesung. A possible reason for their breakup could be because a lot of clarity may have come to Sesung's realization, and her feelings may have changed. When Jungsub answered the interviewer's question about Chulhyun, he was no longer territorial and didn't say or show any signs of jealousy about what he felt when he saw Chulhyun with her in the finale. Unlike his usual self, which would have been him expressing his jealousy more about that scene, instead, he simply said he thought, "Oh, that could happen," and accepted Sesung's explanation as it was. Also, when he answered the question about the final episode, he mentioned that it was refreshing to watch but also left him with a feeling of longing, wondering why it ended so quickly. Why the longing? I can only think of one reason: they already broke up, and he misses her. This to me hints at the sense of unfinished business he felt after watching Sesung's genuine feelings on full display on the show, a sign of his deeper emotions that still lingers on. So folks, I believe Sesung and Jungsub are no longer together romantically. I'll therefore stick with this conclusion until proven otherwise. The other big question is she dating Chulhyun? At the time of this interview, I would say no. Chulhyun and Sesung were not together, although they have great potential. Let's just say my shipping heart is grateful for Sesung and Chulhyun because we've been seeing the adorable connections between the Park siblings, and may I add in my gossip voice, Jungsub is often on a date with his sister Yoonha and her boyfriend Yoonjae lol, just saying. Fortunately, even if Sesung and Chulhyun may not be romantically involved now, they are still involved in each other's lives. The scene of Sesung's dad surprising Chulhyun with a birthday cake has been living rent-free in my head ever since. So, it's a win-win either way. What do you think about this video? Do you agree with anything or disagree? Do you think Sesung and Jungsub dated after the show or didn't? Do you think they are still together, or do you think she's now single or with Chulhyun? Share your thoughts in the comments. Here are the translations for the first part of the article. You can find the link to the original interview in the description box. Jungsub and Sesung, the couple who gave viewers a heartwarming ending by solidifying their relationship after conflicts, shared their thoughts in an interview following the end of the show. Wave and JTBC's entertainment show, My Siblings Romance, directed by Lee Jin-ju, is a family-involved dating reality program where siblings gather to find each other's partners. Since its first broadcast in April, the show maintained the top spot in attracting new paid subscribers to WAV's entertainment section until its conclusion, showcasing high popularity and viewership. Jungsub and Sesung, who untangled the complex emotions amidst events and misunderstandings to become the final couple, drew intense engagement from viewers with their dynamic emotional journey. Particularly, they fully utilized the show's premise and characteristics by sincerely accepting each other's feelings with the help of their siblings before the final decision. When asked about her thoughts on the show's conclusion, Sesung said, "It felt like watching a diary in video form. I'm thankful and happy that a piece of youth was beautifully recorded," and shared her warm feelings about her family, saying, "The biggest gain seems to be that our family came to love each other more." Jungsub added, "I waited for each episode with half excitement and half nervousness, so it's bittersweet. But seeing the final episode, I felt proud and happy." Before the final decision, Jungsub and Sesung had a particularly unique last episode, having had a four-person face-to-face conversation due to communication issues. Sesung said, "Yoonha Ani took my side, and my brother sided with Jungsub, helping us. I was grateful and amused, and attributed their reconciliation to Jaehyung and Yoonha, saying, without their help, resolving the conflict would have been difficult." Jungsub also recalled, "I don't even want to imagine if we didn't have our siblings. At that time, I was desperate for Sesung to understand my feelings and worked hard to convey my intentions accurately to avoid misunderstandings." During the final decision moment, they unexpectedly encountered a third party. When asked about her feelings when she first saw Chulhyun walking from the opposite side, Sesung said, "I immediately understood the significance of Chulhyun Oppa's choice to cherish our time together and support my future. I felt grateful, affectionate, and happy." Jungsub initially thought, why, upon seeing Chulhyun, but after hearing Se-sung's explanation, he understood Chol-hyun as she described. The couple, being the same age, had many cute squabbles. When asked if there were any scenes that stood out to them through the show, Se-sung picked the moment at the wine bar in Singapore, which was their first date. In the midst of a strange atmosphere where they were putting out their honest hearts and thoughts that they had not been able to say. When the text of whether to extend the date came, they chose to extend it as if they had always done so. Se-sung said, "I didn't know that the scene where we both extended at the same time at the wine bar in Singapore would come out so funny. Even I thought, what are they doing?" Jungsub said, "I don't think it's entirely bad because I believe that even bickering is possible due to affection," and added, "I'm glad we were portrayed nicely. It felt like watching a drama filled with all kinds of emotions, joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness." Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe.